Oh my god. All right, guys. Last night I was watching Game of Thrones with my girl, and I was showing her Game of Thrones, and then we went to bed, and I wake up to like literally like 1,000 text messages from my brothers, from my Discord, from everyone I know saying Red got butchered, Red got butchered. And that's not true. Red is dead. I'm here to say it, guys. I'm here to say it. What deck in Red can actually compete now? Let's take a look. Obviously, if you guys know what got banned, right? So it was Nami, it was Dodon, it was Marco from set 3, the 5 cost, and then it was the Whitebeard leader. And actually, real quick before we talk, everyone that I was trending on Reddit a long time ago when I said that Dodon should get banned, and then like Zoro needs an errata, Law needs an errata, blah blah blah, and people were destroying me in the comments. They were saying, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about because Bandai would never do that. It makes too much money. There's prize cards involved. This and that, calling me stupid. Well, guess what? Fuck you. That's all I got to say. Guess what? That's right. I was right. You were wrong. So with that out of the way, I hold grudges. Don't get me wrong. I hold grudges. So with that out of the way, let's talk about why they got banned and what's next in the meta. Okay, so I have this blue deck right here. So let me talk about this first, and then we can get to other things. So with red basically gone out of the meta, it means yellow is absolutely insane right now, right? It means that yellow is by far the best deck because the 3 decks that were holding it back were Zoro, Law, and Whitebeard. And now they're all severely crippled. I mean, they might not be completely dead, but if they're severely crippled, well, Whitebeard's dead because there's literally no Whitebeard. So now Katakuri is going to run pretty much rampant. However, Crocodile I think also gets a little bit better, and its matchup into yellow also gets better too because now we can take out cards that we were running for the other decks like Zoro and Law and Whitebeard. And we can start running cards that are good into yellow, for example, blockers or cards that take life. So for example, this ulti right here, we no longer need it. This Dragon Twister Demolishing Winds, we no longer need it. In my deck list that you guys saw last week, I was actually playing 4 Dragon Twister, 2 ultis. So that's 6 deck slots that we're able to play now. And Katakuri plays a lot of vanillas. They play like a lot of big characters, so we already have things for the big characters, right? 7 cost Big Mom can get met with Red Rock and Mihawk. Anything below 7 cost can get met with Mihawk and like Kaido, for example, or 3000 Worlds, something like that, right? A lot of their cards can already be dealt with events that we have, right? However, now what we can do is we can start focusing on the only matchup that we're actually really struggling with, and it's yellow, and we can start adding things that yellow is bad against, like blockers and cards that take their life or cards that banish, right? So for example, we can add cards like the 7 cost Crocodile back from set 1. That could be an option, even though it's probably a Katakuri target. It could be an option, right? And then also we got to play blockers that can't, and I repeat, cannot get either Amandade or Struzen. So we can't really play blocker Law still, the 1 cost, but we can play cards like Kuma, we can play cards like Doflamingo, we can play cards like Sobbles if we want to, that can bounce back their Parasparrow, can bounce back their Randolph, it can bounce back even their 7 cost Big Mom, even though you don't really want to do that ideally, but that is an option, guys. So I think Crocodile gets a little bit better, and I think yellow gets better. However, it gets a little bit worse at the same time because now every deck is going to be just running cards that either have banish or they take a life or just a ton of blockers, and that's always been yellow's downfall, is like when their life counter, or like when their 7k swings don't matter as much because like like when their 7k swings don't matter as much because they're just getting easily countered out of or blocked, or when like they don't have life to trash, right? So for example, no deck can do that anymore where you have no life to trash, but we can play a lot more blockers than we used to, and I think other decks get a little bit better now that red is gone, right? So, and we'll come out with the tier list a little bit later. So that's Crocodile. I think Crocodile gets a little bit better. I'll come out with an updated list based on set 4.5, but let's talk about let's talk about a couple things, right? So Nami, so let me put up all the cards that got banned real quick. Give me 1 second. So Dodon, Nami, here we go, stay with me, guys. Dodon, Nami, Marco, and it was Whitebeard the leader, or Newgate. Let's talk about it, right? So let's talk about the decks that were actually pretty good, or being impressed by these cards, right? So Law lost 2 cards. Law lost Nami and it lost Dadan, right? So like the only engine for Law that can really exist right now is probably the film version, which probably won't be that good until maybe like set 6. And it's also very inconsistent too. So Law is pretty much dead. Whitebeard's obviously dead, and then Marco. So Zoro ran Dadan and Marco, and so now they can't really run like the whole like. They can't really run their whole like weenie engine. They have to kind of go like, I'm sorry, they can't run like their more mid-range engine, right, where like they just gain a lot of advantage through searching and then have bodies to play, and then they drop Marco for like a 7k swing that like is very sticky. They have to go like the more like super aggro version where they're just playing the new Sanji from set 4, I believe, the 1 cost 3, the straw hat, and they just have to hope to find it, and they're gonna play cards like Uta to find them, to get them back from their trash. That's kind of the route they have to go. Now the decks that were oppressed by these red decks, right? It was decks like Magellan, right? So Magellan was oppressed by red, right? It was decks like, where's it at? Sorry guys. It was decks like, God, why can I not find it? Oh my goodness, guys, stay with me. Where's that? Kinemon. Kinemon was oppressed by red, right? Because you had a lot of non-counters in hand, and every time that you would go to do anything, like they would just put so much pressure on your life that you would run out of counters and you'd pretty much die, right? Now, Kinemon has access to tons of blockers, has access to banish cards, right, for your motto. It has access to cards that rest, so like your blockers are no longer as useful. This is going to be a blocker meta, by the way, guys. So Kinemon got a lot better. Ivankov is still bad, but decks like Z got a lot better. Right, so all of these cards are Smoker probably still got worse because Smoker's worst enemy was actually yellow, but all these decks that were just like rushed down at the very beginning of the game, and they didn't have time to like really ramp up to protect to get their effects off consistently. Those decks got better, so we're gonna see more Zephyrs, we're gonna see more Kinemons, we're gonna see more Magellans. However, I think Croc beats all of them. It definitely beats Magellan because Magellan's main card is Magellan, and if you bottom deck it, it doesn't get its effect, right? So it gets that off very well. They can't put enough pressure on Croc to beat it. Like Croc is going to be a huge like barrier in this meta, especially because like it's good into the new Luffy that comes out too. But all these decks get a lot better, and I'm very excited to see like how it goes. Oh, I'm sorry, Ace, guys. Ace is dead. Ace is like super mega ultra dead. I'm so sorry, Ace players. Like Ace is like just like constantly being like randomly like stabbed in the back, and it's the second ban list in a row where Ace has just gotten massacred. So Ace is a goner. Honestly, I think Kuro. No, I don't think so, because Kuro still loses to yellow, right? I was going to say Kuro might get better because it lost heavily to Whitebeard, but its 2 best matchups were Law and probably Zoro, so Kuro's probably no longer a thing. Arlong probably gets a little bit better. Actually, Arlong does get a little bit better. All of these decks get a little bit better. Nami oh, actually, I don't want to talk about Nami because we don't talk about Nami on this YouTube channel. But guys, I'm very excited to see where these decks. Oh, Black Yellow Big Mom, VV Theory James is gonna. Oh my God, this is his time, bro. This is the time for him to be alive, right? Black Yellow Big Mom gets better. So yeah, all of these decks get a lot better, and I'm very excited to see where these decks go for the next month. I mean, obviously we have 3 new leaders coming out, so we'll see how they kind of impact the meta. But this is going to be a very, very healthy format for what it seems, because obviously yellow and blue are probably the 2 best decks right now after this ban list, but there are other decks that can still definitely win into those matchups. And then also Queen too, by the way, guys. Queen, I'm not gonna talk about every leader, but yeah, but also it feels like every single deck that was hindered in the past 3 sets is gonna be able to at least have a showcase, right, to see what they can do in this new meta. And this is gonna be the most experimental time, I think, in the entire card game, where people are just deck building, and then they show up to locals and they're like, okay, I don't have to worry about Whitebeard anymore, right? Like I was talking to a friend of mine at Locals on Thursday, and he was telling me that every single time he would build a deck, and he loves building decks because he's a Magic player, right? He was like, every time he builds a deck, he just loses to like the same 2 decks over and over again. It's like Law, Whitebeard, and obviously like Katakuri or something like that, which is going to still be a problem. But at least 2 of those cards are, or 2 of those decks are kind of eliminated from the meta. So you can see like what, like you can just build around beating yellow, which is just a lot better, right? Something in Yu-Gi-Oh, right? So like in Yu-Gi-Oh, when a deck would get hit really hard, there would be a deck that was like the second best deck that like wouldn't get hit, and people would try to play that. However, that deck was way more counterable than the deck that got hit, right? So for example, like the second best deck became the first best deck in theory, but then there was so much like anti-meta procedures and maneuvers that people were doing and card pools that were actually making that deck like not nearly as viable. So like more decks were able to get into the meta. I hope that makes sense for you guys, but this video is a lot longer than I wanted it to be. But yeah, like I'm super excited. Let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Peace.